If it's Thursday, it's Forbidden Lands night. Howdy, friends and floor heads. Welcome to episode 15 of Forbidden Lands. This officially makes this the longest running series on the channel.
Wow.
So congrats to the four of you.
And
Yay.
nobody's died yet.
Yeah. You guys,
No
Don't
matter
steal
how
my-
hard we try.
Don't steal my line, Brian.
Sorry.
you guys beat out the good scum and the villainy crew for longest running show. They went to, I think, to 14. So I think a lot's happened. Yesterday was a big day, and when we left you had gone to sleep, and during the night everybody slept well, but Aldrich was awakened by a visit from Marigal. So I think we're going to start on the morning of Spring Rise, the 19th, which is also the day of the festival. We can see the interior of Aldrich's tent. And if you remember, Aldrich's tent is very close to Meridia's and is quite large. And that's kind of where they set up this triage hospital for the four of you. And as we look, everybody is sound asleep. And I think what is not anticipated is that even the four druidic women who were sent to care for the four of you in the wake of what had happened, they are also asleep. And I'm going to have Sten, I'm going to have you wake up first.
Kind of looks around, sees everybody in the one tent, takes a moment to sort of parse what has happened and remember, get it all back in memory. Puts a hand on his stomach, feels all
At the very top third of the tent, you can see the sun hitting the top third of the tent. So we're right at sunrise.
So this is when he would usually wake up anyway.
Yeah.
So I mean, if everybody else is sleeping, I'm not gonna trouble them further. So I'm probably just gonna stiffly walk over to the flap of the tent and just kind of peel back and look outside, see if anything is on fire or if there are 100 people with spears descending on the tent or whatever.
So you look outside, and this is what, your fourth morning in the camp? I think third or fourth morning. Yeah. And these are closer to your people than you knew, because they are all early risers. So you can see the Quards do what they do. They get up at the break of dawn and they begin their day. And the Quards are people of habit, people of routine, those that are trained to ride, start brushing their horses and getting them out to walk and to work the horses, and those trained excuse me, those trained to cook, those that are trained to blacksmith. Everybody's has their job, and that's what you're seeing, Sten, as you kind of peek out, and everybody's doing their own thing. But you notice coming past Meridia's tent, good old Vivi. And she's walking up to you. And for those of you to remember, because we haven't really heard or seen from Vivi in a little while, Vivi's, we think, like 11-ish. And she's quite taken by Sten. She's also the daughter of Meridia, who is the huntress mother of the Quards. But Sten, she's not alone. She's actually holding hands with a young boy. And this young boy is maybe 7, maybe 8 years old. He's got white blonde hair. And as soon as she sees you stick your head out, she waves and is kind of dragging this boy with her.
I'll go ahead and step outside so that her chatter doesn't wake anybody else up. Maybe.
You have to tell me everything. I heard you had the biggest adventure. They brought the druids in. I found out you're okay, but I want to hear everything.
Listen, some stories aren't for telling until you're a little older. It was real bad.
Are you okay?
Well, he kind of, you know, he's not going to show his bandages, but he kind of pats his head like, well, I was pretty hurt, and Aldrich Aldrich lost an arm.
And she's stunned. She's quiet and she kind of stares at you. And the little boy, who you think is about 3 or 4 years younger than her, maybe 7-ish, 6-ish, 7-ish, kind of pushes her gently on the arm and says, "Told you they weren't going to tell us." Instead, this boy has long hair, which is not atypical, especially for a boy his age. But the whiteness of the hair is definitely not something you've seen among the Quards themselves. The other thing that really makes this boy stand out is the quality of dress. He's in a very, very almost silk-like shirt that has multiple buttons, which is not common. And it extends past his mid-thigh. And he's also wearing trousers, which are also of a soft cloth, not a workman's pant whatsoever. And unlike a lot of children that have been running around the camp over these days, he's also has shoes on. He's got some sandals on as well. And as much as all of that stands out, what really stands out is his yellow eyes.
Great. So Sten kind of, because he's been focused on Vivi up till now, he sort of looks over and he's about to say, "So who's your friend, Vivi?"
So he looks up to you and he goes, puts his hand out, reaches up to you and he goes, "I'm Awen. Vivi says you're a hunter."
That's right. I'll shake his hand.
She says you've killed things.
Well, that's kind of what hunting's about.
And then he turns to Vivi and she goes, "He's not going to tell us stories. I knew he wasn't going to tell us any stories." Vivi's still kind of in shock. She is really not acknowledging Awen at all, and is still stunned by what you said.
So, I'll talk to you about it later, Vivi. But we need some time to figure out what went on, because it was real bad. We're all okay.
Aldrich's going to be okay.
Yep. The druids were real good. They helped a lot.
Okay. Mom says you're going to the other camp today.
Oh yeah. Remind me, Craig, had we set on a time for that, or just sometime
it was sometime
today?
in the morning? Palaka said he was going to come by and take you over. And for those of you that are watching, this is a big moment, right? We have 2 camps and they have never been big fans of each other. And there was a West Side Story happening between the son of the Quards and the daughter of the Galdanes, and the father Skunza of the Galdanes captured the son and caught him in his daughter's camp. And Sten, in the infinite wisdom of the Quards, has been assigned to be the diplomat that is supposed to broker this peace. And at some point today, Palakas and Sten are to head over and find out what the decision was. And to Sten's credit, Sten made a very compelling argument that it might be to the benefit of both of the Aslins to allow this to happen, that it could finally broker peace between these 2 tribes of the Aslins.
Yeah, that is today, isn't it? I should probably get cleaned up, but I'll tell everybody you came by, and we'll see you a little later on. The festival's today, huh?
Yeah. And Aslin says that you guys are going to cool the stone.
Well, maybe we're all a little beat up right now. We'll see how it goes. We're hoping to.
We'll be there. We'll be there. Mom said I could be in the front.
Oh, good. Great.
So Awen goes, come here, I want to show you the stick I found. And he kind of drags her.
All right, and then we'll go inside and start getting himself dressed.
So let's have, as Sten comes back into the tent, let's have Vasila waking up.
I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna like grab at the little dagger I keep on my belt. I'm gonna like grab it and it's gone, and like I wake up and I start and like I like try to like grab the bag that's like right at the foot of the bed that I had packed the night before, and like I'm like just complete flight mode. And then I look up, I see Stan, and I'm like, we gotta get the others. They're gonna come get us.
Dude, they're right here.
We'll wake them up. Come on, we gotta go before the demon man shows up.
If he
Gotta go.
shows up, he would have been here by now.
I don't know. Maybe he needs a new face or something. We gotta go. We gotta go. And I'm just gonna I'm gonna go and like to Osric first, and I'm like, Osric, wake up. We gotta go. We gotta go before the demon man gets here.
Do I get to wake up? Or am I magically
Osric's
asleep?
dead.
Oh no!
You touch his cold flesh.
Craig finally got one.
Yes,
I
you
was
get to
more
wake
thinking
up.
that maybe the sleep was magical and it didn't work.
No, you get to wake up, sir.
All right. I think he's gonna, begrudgingly, grumblingly say, "Hold on," and start to begin his movements. I think that he's still a bit troubled about all of these things and the hard time we had and all of those things, but he's not quite in the fight or flight mode or the flight mode that Vasila is yet. He says, hold on, and he starts to get himself up and get himself cleaned and ready.
While the elders here are getting their oh, I need my coffee. I'm like, we're going to die. And I'm gonna run to the
Sure. Now you're worried about
flap, and I'm gonna I'm gonna flip it open, look around, flip. Come on, can you carry Aldrich? And then I go over to the poultice, where the druid is put the poultices and stuff, and I start grabbing those and put them in my pack to I'm gonna have to heal Aldrich's arm, and I'm barely know what I'm doing at all because I've only learned from these ladies from 3 days, and I'm like, come on, we have to go. And if you let me, I'm gonna try to cut open a flap out the back of the tent so that we have an exit out the back.
You don't need my permission, Vasila. Yeah,
not your permission, but the other members of the party, for some reason, don't like what Vasila does. I don't know why.
So as Vasila is just flying around like a bee from flower to flower throughout the tent, and then is headed back to cut it, we see the druidic women start to wake up, and the oldest of the 4 women, who has definitely been the matron. Obviously, if there's a hierarchy among these women, she's at the head of it. She goes, and she turns to you, Sten. She goes, I'm so sorry. Normally we would have all gone in shifts, but apparently we all fell asleep, and everybody seems stable. We'd like to just check everybody one more time, and then if it's okay, we should eat.
Sure. Yeah. Do I need to eat any different with points to his abdomen?
So she puts a small pouch in your hand, and she goes, just eat 2 or 3 of these with your meal.
Okay. We'll see what's in it.
Just look, some herbs, things that smell good. We've never seen them before.
Thank you, I think, for everything.
Aldrich.
I guess Aldrich it starts hearing voices and hearing Vasila's kind of running back and forth and all about, and he's kind of and again goes to like rub his head and then looks down. All right. That's yep. All right. It just kind of like sits up as quick, not as quickly as he can, but as, you know, in a manageable fashion, just kind of looks to everyone like,
You doing all right? All things considered.
yeah, I'm okay.
Well, I mean, let us know what you need. Little one thinks we should run for the hills.
When I see Aldrich getting up, I'm gonna get over. Like he's like trying to sit up, I'm gonna run. I'm like, no, you have to lay still. You have to be still.
Basilla, please. Thank you. Thank you. Just thank you.
Osric
Drew-
will carry you. We'll get away. It's fine. Just be careful.
Druids, can we get a little privacy, please?
And you get an acknowledgement from the matron, and they were kind of on their way out anyway. But I think you put a half speed increase to that process, so they kind of gather things up, and in a matter of less than a minute or so, you guys have the tent to yourselves.
So I feel like we have things to discuss, don't we?
That's
That goes without saying.
Like, I know that, like, you know, I'm the kid and everything, but like, there was a demon lady that ripped off your arm. We got to go.
She could have killed us last night if she wanted to.
Yep.
Yeah, but I think your face stabby thing really threw her for a bent. I think that her meat puppet slave guy is probably stuck in that, and then she's stuck in the bed, right? Like, I don't know. You're the mage if your brain's recovered.
All things said, we're probably not going to be able to stay in Amber's Peak for much longer. Hard to say if it's a dream or if it even matters with her, but I spoke with Marigold.
Yeah. Does
Oh,
she have a way
really?
out?
She was hoping we would be doing the rock cooling festival. I know we all have our own opinions on her and how we read her, but all said and done, I feel like she's just, if not on our side, at least pointing us in a decent direction. And I think trying to get out of town before we perform the cooling festival and all of our other obligations just draws attention.
Well, I'm not going anywhere until I get Bebby's brother back. That hopefully shouldn't take long.
Hopefully.
After that, I don't care about these people and their magic rock. If we
Well,
want to do
they
what we
think
can
that
do.
this guy is a good guy and he's summoning demon boars.
He apparently will not be in attendance. And I think I hate to leave these people to his mercy, but obviously there's not much we can do about it in our current state.
We gotta tell him. Craig, do I still have the face? I don't.
You dropped the
think
face.
I did drop it. I wasn't sure.
I don't.
Yeah, I
you
think
dropped
I
it to pull your bow.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what I
right,
remember as
stab it.
well.
I think you're down a knife too, probably.
Yeah, it seems likely.
So
Lucky for you, this tribe, the Quards, have plenty of knives to give you.
And they also have plenty of faces, but I don't want them.
Look, settle down, Mr. Facey McStabberson.
They're at -2 bears.
They were half bears, so maybe
negative
-1
3
both.
bears.
True.
That's true.
So-
Only 2 of them mattered. Murderers.
The person who's the attendant, and if you remember, each one of you has Meridia has kept an attendant at the front of each of your tents. As I think at first was to watch you because she was not sure about you, and over the coming days they have become protectors as well as assistants, right, to help you out. The one that's been in front of your tent, there's been two, one at night, one during the day. The day person who's now taken over kind of leans in, Aldrich, and says, Sir Palakis is here.
Send him in.
Nah, I was okay.
And before he can kind of like, I think what the guard wanted to do was kind of like close the door, turn around, tell Palakis, before the Palakis just barges through, and Palakis almost like could walk under this guy's armpit. Right? So Palakis comes in with his ill-fitting helmet and he goes, "Are we ready?
Yeah.
What's the plan?"
We go over
Stab
there
you and make the world
and
a better
see what
place.
he says.
Okay. So I think there's three things. One, he allows them to be betrothed and gives a dowry. Two, he says no. Three might be he kills us, but let's stay with two. What if he does two? What if he says no and he keeps Omar and we can't? And what do we tell Meridia? What do we say? What's the plan?
The plan is to talk him out of it so we don't have a war and get both tribes killed.
I think you should do the talking.
I do too. Let's go.
So he heads out and he has with him two very, very large quarters. And the four of you come into town. And if you remember the layout, of course, there's the quad camp, which is the tent camp. And then you go into the actual town there. And you have to kind of cross through the central town square. And then you head over to the other side where the other camp is, where the Galdanes are camped. Yeah.
Two things real quick. One is that anybody who's back in the tent would realize that the sort of cracked remnants of the Horn's Hand shield are just laying by Sten's cot or sleeping bag or whatever it is. And also just on the way over, Sten is going to be generally keeping an eye for, he's not from around here. There's always people who, are sort of looking at him, but anybody paying any particular or undue attention after the events of last night.
Anybody on fire? Just walking
For example, or with yellow eyes. So as you're crossing through, nobody is paying attention to you at all, Sten. In fact, there is quite a buzz. You see fresh decorations being put up, flowers being woven on any vertical post that's available. And across the river, on the side of the keep, where you had a wonderful day yesterday, you can see the beginnings of a huge bonfire being built. And there are both Galdanes and Quards working together to kind of build this bonfire. And from where you can see, Sten, this bonfire, easily two men could lay down head to toe and still not cover how big this bonfire is being built to be.
And you said this is in town?
So Sten is in town, but he's able to from the town square. He can see across the river to. So it's on the river. It's on the keep side of the river.
Okay.
So sorry, go ahead.
No, so I think at the point at which we get into town, Aldrich would kind of like pull at Sten and be like, do you need me for this? Because
oh no, I didn't think you guys were coming actually,
Okay.
but Sten will say no. I got
There's-
myself into this. I may as well get myself out.
I have an opportunity while we're here, and I can't pass it up, especially after everything we've been through. So
All right, just
I will
be
meet
careful.
back up with you. And
Right.
Aldrich is going to go and try to find any of the mages of the Quards, because I want to spend a quarter day learning another school of magic.
Okay. All right. So we'll lock you in to find study. You have no trouble finding. You've made good friends here, Aldrich, especially among the older spellcasters. So we will definitely do that here in just a moment. As Sten now begins to move into the Galdane camp very quickly, I do want to just check in with Vasilla and Osric.
So clearly the everyone leave plan is not high on the
Not working out for you, huh?
agenda.
The Vasilla goes off on her own adventure.
Like, I choose my own adventure and turn to page 12. All right, so I'm going to I'm going to find the matrons and sit down and talk with them, because like we discussed offline, I'm going to learn the heal skill, and we're kind of going to like a little hand wave at that, like during my like wandering around and learning everyone's tales and things. I'll have learned that. One of the things that I was starting to learn is that, and I'll go and be like, okay, like I know the adults all think that I'm useless, but like what do I need to take care of these people, right? So like obviously, and I'll be like actual like business and factual, like Sten's got a belly wound. His guts might be running. Do we have to worry about poison, the acid poisoning him? Like, do we need to worry about shock for Aldrich with his arm? Is there any way we can like help him get through that more easily? Like, very surprisingly, like matter of fact business, like competent.
So I'm imagining a scene, Vasilla, that if we were watching it on television, it was a scene where you don't hear the dialogue, but you can tell people are talking, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we see you kind of run up to the matron, who really does not have time for you. She's a very busy woman. She's being very dismissive. But the youngest of the Druidic women, who was like 16 young,
Mm-hmm.
she befriends you. And
Mhm.
we'll have her kind of sitting down and laying out a large like leather rollout of all of these different herbs, and we see her explaining them to you, and I'm almost imagining you pulling a small notebook out that you've had, and scratch, and just really a level of focus I don't know we've ever seen Vasilla have, and I'm imagining, if you are Dave, that this is maybe the most purpose you may have ever had.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's true of Vasilla. And then instead of a notebook, I imagine that she's actually composing like a rhyme to like that she'll have memorized. And so every time that she needs whatever name of this herb is, she like sings through the rhymes, like we might sing through the ABCs.
Phenomenal.
And like to remember that letter.
Absolutely love it.
Yes,
Osric, how do you want to spend
this?
this?
Like, she, instead of like puckish and silly, serious.
Love it.
So I have a question outside of Osric, because I know at one point we got a 3 gold reward, and I thought I had one of those gold coins in Osric's pocket, and it's not on my sheet. And I just want to find out
at the time you guys told me to carry all of it. Certainly, if at any point you had asked me for it, Sten would be happy to hand some over.
Was that before?
Yeah, I have them on my
your
sheet.
Drunken gambling bender.
That's a completely different game.
Yeah, if you want to drop a coin and give a coin to Osric, that's fine.
Absolutely.
Okay, that would be
you got
good.
it.
We'll see how that works later. So I think that Osric believes that he has to report back to the Galdane witch,
Skylea, the priestess
That's
of Horn.
her. Yes. And I think what he's going to do is he's going to find
It should be fun.
yeah, it'll be great. He's going to find the most nondescript sort of fabric in this, what is the court are pretty ornate and fancy people, but something a little less, purple silky.
Sure.
And wrap the remains of the shield in it, and he's going to sort of hit the outskirts of town and head to have a conversation with her.
So you guys had not come up with a meeting place, or you just kind of want to hang out around outside of the Galdane camp and see what happens? The last time that you guys had any type of spycraft is when you met Gutharm, if you remember, at the inn.
And I met him in the inn, right? Oh, it's a busy day today. I think I will try to. I think I'll try the inn and see if he's
Right.
there.
All right, so we'll
they've
come
got to
back
be
to you in the
expecting to
end.
hear from us, right?
So Sten, you and Palakis and your two bodyguards make the transition over into the Galdane camp, and as we've talked about, it's a contrast from the elegance and the posh of the Quard camp to the middle class, town and village.
Hardworking.
Yeah, blue collar working to the poor but incredibly functional Galdane camp. Nobody stops you, unlike before. You are allowed to just walk in. There's nobody there to question you or anything, and you walk over to Skunsa's tent, and there are two gentlemen that are standing there, large gentlemen standing there, shirtless with spears, and you walk up to them. And Palakis obviously physically thinks he can just walk in there, and very subtly, both of these gentlemen make it clear that he is not to walk in there.
Mm-hmm.
But no words are said.
Mm-hmm. We're here to meet with Skunsa at his convenience to discuss the situation with the Quards.
So the one guard leans over to the other guard and says something very quietly into his ear. And he dips into the tent. And the other guard stands there and goes, "Just a moment."
Mm-hmm. One thing I would have tried to take a moment to to ask on the way, while we were with Palakis is, Palakis, you've met Zertorm, right? You've been in council with him.
So he kind of looks around.
Yeah, I would have said it like while the
Yeah.
guards were a little ahead of us.
No matter how quietly you said it, he's
Mhm.
paranoid as hell, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
What's he look like?
I don't know. He's always got a mask on.
What's the mask look like?
It's like a metal mask, and it's got bands on it, and then like little eye slotty thingies, and it's like wraps around his head, and I think it locks here. It looks like something those filthy Galdanes would make.
Okay. All right. That's all I wanted.
So the guard comes back out. You can go in. And he kind of opens up the tent, and the two of you start to walk in. The two bodyguards try to follow, and the two much larger bodyguards in front of Skunsa's tent make it clear that it's just the two of you that are allowed in.
It's all right. We'll be fine.
Instead, you walk in with Palakis, and Palakis kind of stops in his tracks.
Mm-hmm.
And you see Ormor, the son. He's actually sitting. He's not tied up. He's not blindfolded. He does not have a hood. He doesn't have a hood over his head or anything along those lines. You don't see Skunsa sitting in his throne, but standing next to the throne is a woman in a red silken dress, and it's Scalia.
Mm-hmm.
I'm afraid Skunsa's not here. He's been called to the keep. But he told me to meet with you.
And he's authorized you to negotiate?
There's nothing to negotiate. The decision is made.
All right. Well, what is it then?
Outside, you will find one of the finest horses that maybe any Galdane has ever raised. It's broken, ready to ride, and that is Skunsa's dowry. He wishes to offer that to Meridia in exchange for allowing her son to court his daughter. I don't know what you said to him. I was shocked.
Instead, it's like racking his brain to figure out what he said to him that would make this happen.
Good job, Sten. Let's go.
Yay!
Buddy. New career.
So Sten kind of looks over at Omor and is like,
Omor is, yeah, he doesn't look nervous or scared or anything. If anything, he looks relieved. And she says, obviously, take her son with you. And all I will say is it's critical she accepts.
Okay. Well, I can't help feeling that you your voice of reason had something to do with this as well. So thank you for that. And there nobody's gonna give us a hard time taking him and the horse out of here, right? I don't know if this has been announced yet or
everybody knows.
Okay. Well, thank you. Omar, I guess we should go and talk to your mother.
Palakas,
Yeah.
would you meet Sten outside, please? Take Ormor with you. I want a moment. You're not going to pay him or anything, are you? Go outside. So he walks outside. Is the Valkyrie dead?
I don't know if there even is a Valkyrie in there. There's one woman we met in there, and, well, she looked like a woman. It's a fire demon in human form. I don't know what the hell's going on in that keep, but we couldn't find a Valkyrie to save our lives, and it nearly cost us our lives.
A fire demon.
Yeah.
Inside that
and
keep.
she had what I assume is Zertorm's face hanging on a wall.
I don't understand.
Literally a man's face cut off, tanned, cured, and hanging on her wall so somebody could put it on sometime if they needed to. It's got a big hole through it now, which may be why he's not going to come around and say hi today.
We have to make Skunsa understand this. That this is not a prophet. This is not our savior. I am telling you, he is Zygerfer. He is not the son of Zygerfer. He is demon incarnate, and he is here to destroy the lands.
Well, whoever he is, this demon woman, friend, mistress, associate, commander of his, nearly cost us our lives, cost one of us an arm. We're not ready to face whatever he is, not directly. I'll tell Skunsa, I'll tell everybody what happened if you think it'll help, but it's more power than we've dealt with. We couldn't so much as scratch her. And we've killed demons before.
I do. If I can arrange a meeting after the ceremony, would you tell him exactly what you told me? I think he might believe you.
I will. I think the others should come too. I mean, we all saw things, so they might have noticed something I missed. I know they're not really anxious to keep hanging around here. After what we saw in the castle, they're real worried, and I can't blame them.
I will guarantee, and I can speak for Skunsa here, that you would always have a tent in this camp. But I also understand why you'd want to leave. And please keep the gift of Horn as a thank you.
Yeah, about that. She broke it in half.
And you hear her like take in air, right? Like a
might be fixable. I don't know.
After the ceremony, just bring the pieces over.
Right.
And she kind of fades off, and you see that Gotharm has been kind of in the
Mhm.
background there, keeping to side. And she immediately, you can see them having a conversation. And to remind everybody watching, it's really been her and Gutharm's thing, right? That Zertome is not what he claims to be, and they are convinced that he is in fact Zygofer. So Sten, do you leave?
Yeah, if they look like they're on to their own thing, I'll just kind of say, all right, after the ceremony then, and I'll head back in.
All right, let's cut to Osric in the inn. Osric, this is going to shock you, but Gutharm is not there.
What?
No. Have him be there. It'll be great.
As you walk into the inn, it looks like breakfast is finishing up. You have all the Galdanes have already gone. And there's a few cards just finishing up.
Is Augur here?
Augur's there, as always, behind.
Okay. I think I'm gonna go up to Augur and just have a little conversation with Augur about the ceremony and the cooling of the rock and what our role will be there, and to see if he can give me a little more information about what that might mean.
I got the news. I know that you have been designated as the strangers. As what you have done for this town, I did not object. What questions do you have? And he's kind of cleaning the bar as you're going.
And so I think Osric will ask, is there a way to influence who receives the bounty of the stone?
That's my decision. And so I'm not quite sure what you're trying to ask me.
So there's a what's the name of the people collectively? It's an A word.
The Aslines.
There's an Asline couple, a Quard boy, and a Galdane lass, that may be starting up their lives together, and I think it would be
Together.
It would be a great boon if they received the bounty of the stone. And as he says this, he's going to put this gold coin on the counter and slide it towards Augur.
So he puts his finger on the coin, pressing it into the bar, kind of stopping where you slid it. And he says, I've heard talk that that old cranky man that you travel with is brokering some sort of marriage, and quite frankly, see what I believe it. But I can promise you this, old man. If in fact they are allowed to share a tent, of course they should get the stone. That would be the greatest opportunity for Augurville to truly be at peace. And
Wonderful.
I think this, and he slides it back to you, would be a wonderful gift from the four of you to them.
Wonderful. It would be truly prosperous for these tribes to come together. And he picks the coin back up.
And
I'll ask if he's seen Gotharm this morning.
nope. No, I haven't seen Gutharm. Nope. And if you're keep going, please.
Just eyes around. I don't see Marigal being Marigali anywhere in here either.
Marligating.
Look shorter.
Yeah, I didn't get to see that part, so I don't know about the whole third form of Dalb that we got going on here yet. So I think
everywhere.
he's I think then he'll a bit defeated not being able to find her return to camp.
So just as you're leaving, right before you get out of earshot, Augur says, you realize that if you make that marriage happen, it'll be bigger news than the boar.
Wonderful.
And I'm sure you know this, Marigal is going to be overseeing the ceremony. Just listen to her.
And I think
She
that might
says-
take me aback a bit
When
because
she
I don't-
says, you don't know this yet.
because I don't know this, right?
Yeah. When she says cool the rock, as if your life depended on it. Cool the rock. And also, because you step out, you run into Sten and Palakis. Palakis, by the time, unless there's something you want to say to him, Sten, as soon as he gets out of the Galdane camp, he wants to just go do his own thing and leave you alone, and leave you to take the horse and Ormer over to Meridia.
You don't want to bring the good news to Meridia?
Nope. And he does. So
whereabouts is he headed?
He is actually headed to the bridge.
Weird. Huh.
So let's quickly take care of some bookkeeping. So Aldrich, in order for you to learn this new school of magic, what needs to happen?
I think as long as I have a trainer who is of higher level than me, which if I'm learning in a different school,
Any level at all.
any of them should be, it should just cost me 3 experience.
All right, so let's pay that.
All right.
Let's grab your sheet real quick. And what school are we trying to learn, sir?
I think Aldrich, if available, would like to learn the elemental magic school.
All right, let's take a look here. Let me
You'd like to learn
Find
one
where the
arm sword fighting technique?
Elemental. Oh, that is actually going to be under Bitter Reach. Give me just a second.
Yes.
Ooh,
There
he's
it is,
going in the
elemental
expansion book
magic.
now. Look out.
Yeah, he's serious. Okay,
What a twink.
let me know if you're seeing the spells show up as I'm dragging them.
Let's see. Yep, there they are.
All right.
Those fancy spells.
So
We're going to put them all
exciting.
there because in theory you have access to all of them.
You can't quite cast 3rd level spells for elemental, but you know.
All right.
good to have
There
them
you are, my friend.
Yeah.
So you are all set. That is success. Knock the experience off for that. Priscilla, what needs to happen for you?
Because it's a skill I just kind of, and I have a teacher. I just kind of spend 5 experience, get a level.
Okay, go ahead. You can take care of that on your sheet. If you need my help, let me know.
Nope, I have done so. And I can't learn 2 things in the same turn, right? Same.
For the same quarter day, you cannot. Correct.
Yeah.
Cool.
So we're going to kind of approach lunchtime, and we'll have Osric and Sten together with Ormir. I assume we're taking the horse and the son to Meridia.
Mm-hmm.
That seems like a good idea. And I'll relay the information about Augur suggesting that he would bless the couple with the stone's bounty, and that he mentioned the Marigal thing as well.
Well, the first part should be fine as long as we can get Meridia to agree. The more I hear about that ceremony, the less I like it. Oh, by the way, when Vivi came by this morning, she had a little fancy dressed, long, pale haired kid, about 6 or 7, looked like. Cute as button with them yellow eyes.
Hmm.
So keep your eyes open.
So let's cut
So
to
the camp.
yeah, tracking down Meridia, and Meridia actually, you see her tending to her horses and kind of supervising it. Of course, she's not brushing any horses. She's there with the men that tend the horses. As you approach, and she turns, and as soon as she sees Ormir, they immediately run to each other. Huge hug. And as the hug finishes, you see her grab his ear, drag him down, and she says something into that ear. and sends him off, almost knocking him over as she pushes him away. And he, like with his tail between his legs, kind of vanishes off in between the tents. And she comes up and she kind of nods to you and immediately comes up to the horse. And immediately starts brushing the horse's face. You see her put her forehead to the nose of the horse. And you hear her whispering. They might be words, Sten. It's very difficult to tell. And her and this horse are having a moment, and she turns to you and she says, "Is this the dowry?"
Yeah. That was the offer.
Horse.
It really is. I'm not much of a rider, but it looked good to me, and you certainly know horses. So
it's a beautiful horse.
So for what it's worth, we didn't actually see Skansa there personally. He's apparently been summoned off to the keep.
So she takes a step back from the horse, almost like the horse has got a little radioactivity to it.
Right, exactly.
This wasn't given by Skansa?
By all accounts from everyone there, he authorized it. This is from the actual...
He didn't offer it himself in person?
Not to me, or I guess to you. It was Skylia that was there on his behalf.
I trusted you to broker this. Did you accept on my behalf?
I said I would bring your son and this horse back, and that I would encourage you to accept it. I can't make a deal on your behalf.
Take the horse back. He knows the tradition. You are the broker. He is to hand the reins from his hands to your hands. He's to give you the offer. You are to bring the offer to me. Your hands to my hands. I realize the Galdanes don't think these things are important anymore, but they are. And I will not let my son join a family that does not recognize that.
I don't know your ways. I'm happy to go through the process as you describe it, but I will tell you this. Pretty much everybody in both camps saw me leading that horse and your son back over here, and I feel pretty confident that most of them know what it means. If I go back and lead this horse back without your son back over to that camp, there's going to be a lot of tongues wagging, and it might lead to some ugly business.
Those Galdanes gossip like no others, like little weasels. Sten, you're a wise man. You have a good point. So she snaps her fingers, and she calls for one of her men to take the horse. After the ceremony, with just him, I don't want anybody hearing this. I want you to tell him what I told you. And the fact that I did not return this horse should be a sign of good faith.
Okay. I'll do that. So, assuming he goes through the proper procedures, you're willing to accept this?
I'm willing to hear the offer. I have yet to be offered.
Okay.
Instead, she's obviously being very stern with you,
Mhm.
not directed at you, right?
Right, by proxy.
But the one thing I will tell you is, as you kind of like, as the conversation tends to wane, she puts her hand on your upper arm, right?
Mhm.
And she's holding it. She's not squeezing you or anything.
Right.
It's almost almost a friendliness about it, but also being
Mhm.
very stern in her voice. When she finishes it, she gives the squeeze. She squeezes your arm a little bit,
Mhm.
and for some reason, you know that she's saying thank you. There's a tenderness to the squeeze that tells you that, and you don't know why you know that, but you do.
Okay. Well, she's not saying it out loud. I'm certainly
And
not saying. I'll
I
just
don't
kind of
think she wants
nod.
anybody else to hear it,
Right.
right?
I just kind of nod. And for what it's worth, I think obviously you're doing a brilliant job leading your people. You've got a lot of good people here. You've got good children. I feel like if this relationship between the two children works out, there's going to have to be some meeting at the middle ground. I'm not telling you to try and change your ways. Just be ready, because there's going to be a lot of rough edges brushing up against each other.
I'm sure.
But you're a leader. You know what to do. I'll talk to him after the ceremony.
Sten, have you ever considered being counsel?
I'm not sure what that means among your people, so I hesitate.
You'd be by my side. You'd be part of my trusted voices.
I thank you for that. Honestly, the stress of having to do this over the past couple days has given me so much heartburn. I don't think I could survive it.
Think about it.
I'm honored and I'm grateful. I'll give it some thought, he says. And in his mind, it's already like, there's no way I'm doing this.
How do I end this conversation?
Yes, exactly.
He's like, so there is a hole in the back of the tent now.
No, I stopped that when the druids like woke up and I'm like, I wasn't
I
doing
was-
anything.
Nothing to see here.
There's a fly. There's a fly.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna stab the tent.
All right.
All right,
So
so I think we filled up the quarter day. So let's put ourselves maybe an hour or two before the ceremony, and we want to get a sense of where we are, what we're doing. Are we preparing? Are we talking to anybody? What are we doing?
I mean, good job, Stan. I didn't think you'd actually be able to be a marriage broker.
I don't
like-
know what the hell is going on with these people. It's like they
You're
haven't
like-
ever had anybody talk sense to them.
You're like godfather to Vivi. You're gonna be the best man at this wedding. Like your Uncle Sten.
Oh, let me tell you the best part. She asked me if I wanted to be one of her counselors.
Oh my god. And did you say yes?
No! Good gods, no.
Oh, thought you were going soft, old man.
Still kick your ass around this tent. So anyway, I will make sure everybody knows about the little yellow-haired boy, yellow-eyed boy.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Oh, she said she had children.
Did she?
Did she say
Yeah,
she had
she thought
children?
that child might have been one
She
of hers.
did.
And also that you've all been here, so knowing that Skansa and Palakas are off. Skansa was summoned to the tower, and Palakas went off there, and they're undoubtedly all huddling there, planning mischief.
So I'm gonna look around the tent real quick. So would it be a terrible idea to put a dagger in Flux's gut before you leave? As like a last parting service to these people.
Craig, if you'll let me, and if you say no, I would have wanted to let Meridian know that Skunza was headed off in the direction of the keep.
Oh,
Unless
yes, I
saw
will.
him.
I will allow that to happen.
Okay.
And let me think what her reaction would be. I think what she would immediately ask you is where's Palakis? I think that would make her realize that Palakis is not there as well.
Mhm.
So
And I
you
would just
also
tell her,
share.
last I saw him, he was headed across the bridge.
So I think the only thing, I think that's what spurred her question about the council.
Got it.
Was
Okay.
that information. That's what makes sense to me. If you're okay with that, Brian.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll buy that. Sure.
Makes a lot of
I think that
sense.
you see whatever little bit of credibility that Palakis had with her, and he didn't have much. That may have been the tipping point and may have spurred her to make that offer.
Okay.
I'm good with that.
All right, cool. Yeah, so beyond that, the Sten's probably just pacing back and forth, being cranky.
Do we know if we have to be in a place at a specific time or beforehand, or is there
Are there
ceremonial
special T-shirts? Do we wear a
robes or
badge?
So funny enough, Aldrich's assistant leans in and says, "They've brought the clothes."
The clothes.
Oh,
And
boy.
Yeah.
4 prepubescent children, 2 boys, 2 girls, come in, and they have got these ornate boxes, and they're this beautiful carved like mahogany stained wood. They're identical, and they're holding them. You immediately can tell there's a boy Quard and a girl Quard, and a boy Galdane and a girl Galdane, and you see them bring them in, and they kind of just stand there waiting for instruction.
Hi, kids. It's for us.
You are the strangers.
I mean, he's pretty strange. I'm quite normal.
And the one Galdane girl almost breaks. She almost lets out a giggle.
I give her a wink, a sly one.
I think Aldrich would walk up and kind of like put a hand on one of the boxes. Well, hit the hand on one of the boxes. And just kind of like go over the carving, look at it, and then open it up.
So open it up, and I'm not sure what you were expecting, Aldrich, but they are shockingly plain. So the robes themselves are like a thick, almost burlap bound. Something you'd make a potato sack out of, not a, this beautiful ceremony thing. It's obvious as you kind of put your hands on it and pick it up that it's like a hooded robe.
Oh, these look awfully comfortable. And I'll take it out and kind of do his best to get into it.
I'll help.
So
I
you put yours on, okay? Sten, also.
If I see him put it on, I guess I'll get mine. Give the kid a nod and grumbling,
Yeah.
put it on.
I'm gonna do mine, but I'm gonna like make it very
Well, hold on a
pompous
second.
and
As you go for yours, Vasila,
yeah.
the kid, it kind of goes like this.
I'm like, I'll bow, calmly, like,
So-
of course. And then I'll go through each of the children like in a row till I get to mine. Like it's like supposed to be ceremonial. Like you take an offering and I say like some benediction, like, oh well, thank you for your kindness. The stone gives
The other
blessings.
2
and
kids who
then,
have empty boxes are like, "Why are you even looking at me?" But you gotta do your thing, and you
Yeah,
finally
I
get
see
to
it,
the
yeah,
box
yeah, yeah.
that she was going like
Yeah.
this to, and you open it up, and it is a smaller robe.
yeah.
Oh,
just big floppy sleeves?
I bet mine still has 2 sleeves.
It does. It does. They work fast.
they didn't get the memo.
Osric, are you
I
putting
know.
yours on as well?
Yes, Osric will put on his as well.
And the kids close the boxes. They leave. The assistant kind of holds the flap of the tent open as he goes, and said they should be here in about 15 or 20 minutes.
Thank you very much.
All right, so I think we need a strategy here. crew. We have our friend recovering, and I don't think he'll be able to run to the river and bring buckets.
I will not be doing very much running. Correct.
So I think that maybe we should station you at the rock, and you can be the thrower. Like, is there some way that we can like arrange a bucket for you to be able to throw? Like, is your arm cut like here?
Oh,
or
it
here?
is right below the.
Oof.
He
The
has
whole-
the shoulder
That's like
what do they
here,
call it,
yeah.
the joint and
joint. Yeah, the
yeah,
ball socket.
the
Ball
joint is
socket, yeah.
there, the ball and socket. Thank you. So it's
Okay,
just below the ball and socket of his shoulder. And he is, just so you know, that's wrapped tight against him, right? So his entire upper body is covered in these bandages that these druidic women put together.
Well, I mean, maybe, I don't know, does it have to come right out of the buckets or whatever? Can we get him like a little ladle and he'll do the fine adjustments?
That's not a bad
One-handed?
idea. I might have something, and Aldrich starts like going through his bag because I've got like cooking utensils. I've probably got a ladle.
So we see this conversation happening. I'm not going to cut you off. We're going to cut back to you. We see this conversation happening in the tent, and we kind of expand out, and we see a parade of mixture of village people and the Galdanes, as well as some Quards, in very ornate costumes, with instruments that are not being played, but we can see them working their way to Aldrich's tent as we cut back into the tent.
So that obviously leaves the bulk of the running to you two gentlemen. Like, like I can certainly run, but I can't carry near as many buckets. I feel like I would be better off throwing buckets as such, because a single bucket I can lift, where many buckets I can't.
Maybe we leave you by the river and you fill them.
That's
The loader.
When
works
we come
wonderfully
back,
too.
there's another set ready to go. I mean, I don't know how many buckets we're going to need for this, but
It's a big
I
rock,
don't know
right?
anything about this.
I mean, you're
Or
the
just-
your night visitor. I wink at your nightly visitor. Didn't mention anything about rules about bucket throwing, did she?
She didn't give me any strategies or tips.
That'll be fine.
Just play it by ear, I guess. What happens, happens.
Our assistant dips his head in. He tries not to interrupt, but as soon as there's a lull in the conversation, he goes, "They're ready for you."
Craig, can I have Rustbite on my person, but under the robes in such a way that it isn't blatantly obvious that I'm carrying it?
You can.
Okay.
Yep. And let's even assume that maybe you even asked the man that's outside with Aldrich, like, who can I? And he's like, yes, but bring weapons, bring everything, just cover, wear what you wear, just cover yourself with this. So he makes it clear there's nothing, you know, foreboding about that whatsoever.
As much as I'd like to, I'm not going to strap a bow over this. I will, however, have the broken shield or the dented shield anyway, just kind of like strapped up on my back or something under the robe, because I may not come back here before my 87 afternoon meetings.
And if you if in fact that you wanted to make sure you also had a knife with you, Sten, you would have no trouble getting your hands on a knife.
Okay. I will want one.
Yeah, the Quards would provide a knife
Eventually.
for you.
Great.
So we then cut to the exterior of the tent as we see Aldrich, Vasilla, and Osric and Sten kind of coming into the semicircle that has been put around the entrance from the outside, where we see all of these different people from the camps and from the town, and the matron, the druidic matron, is at the center, and she kind of nods to you, Sten. You nod back. Let's go to break. We'll be back for the ceremony in 10 minutes. So if you are all okay with it, I'm going to have kind of a montage as they bring you across the bridge. And thanks for all the bits, Coda. And there you see, as you approach it, you see Marigal in a stunning white gown. with her long hair. And she's on what is obviously like an altar that has been built there. And there is an even mix of Augermen as well as Galdanes as well as Quards that are surrounding what is now a roaring fire. Everybody else is on the other side of the river. So as you're crossing this bridge, you're leaving the people and making your way to this ceremony. And as you get there, people are kind of helping you out. Like, you stand here, you stand here. And there's a very large half barrel. And when I say very large, any of you, all four of you could get in this thing and have room to bathe, right? It's this huge half barrel of water that is near the bonfire. And once you get situated, two of you on one side of Marigal, two of you on the other side, and I'll decide it. So going from left to right, who's on my far left? Give me kind of the order here.
Sten doesn't have a preference. He just wants to be as far from Marigal as possible.
Okay, so do you want to be first on the far left
or far right?
or last on the far
Far,
right?
far left is fine.
Okay, so we've got Sten. Then who is next to Marigal?
I'm going to actively try to make it so that we like present well. So I'm going to make it a symmetrical of like height, like
So you're gonna be on the far
perspectives
right.
as possible. So like, I don't actually know all of our heights other than I'm the shortest, clearly. But
All right,
yeah,
so we got
I'll try to.
so Osric and Aldrich are right next to Marigal.
Yep.
And music has been played this entire time. So this procession was playing music as you guys came in. And as soon as everybody is kind of situated, you can see Marigal is the cue. And she looks, and once everybody's kind of situated, she makes a gesture. And kind of on the other side of the hill that this keep is on, you begin to see, as it is being brought, and there's a series of logs that are being put in front of the stone. And when the stone is pressed onto the log from behind is quickly brought to the front. And they're moving this huge stone across the front area of the keep towards this fire. And to give you a sense of what this looks like, it is a dark gray stone. It is at least 10 foot in diameter. It is a huge stone. And I think what stands out the most is, unlike all of the stones you've seen, they've all been this size, but you've never seen a stone like this that had been part of the ceremony before. And I don't think you've ever seen a stone like this ever in your life, because it is eerily perfectly a sphere. And though you can see the roughness of the stone, right? So it's not smooth. The shape, though, of it is purely spherical. They are purposely not rolling it. You see them pushing it as it moves. I'm going to continue to describe this. You guys just yell if you want to do something at any point, okay?
The one thing I was going to ask is, while we have time, everyone's coming, is there any sign in the crowd or in the officials area or whatever it is of Skansa or Palacus?
So looking up in the crowd across the river now, on Augerville side of the river, you don't see them. Amongst the group, you do not see. You don't see Skansa, you don't see Palacus, nor do you see Zertome. But the first time you look, Sten, you're not satisfied. And I think you might be spending a good bit of your time scanning the crowd.
I don't have a lot else to do right now.
Yeah. So I think that the one thing that might give you pause is you see Vivi. And she is at the very edge of the far side of the river. She's there, and her mother and her brother are there. And you have to tell me whether this surprises you or not. You also see Awen, the yellow-eyed boy.
I'm not sure if Aldrich or Osric is next to me, but when there's a moment, I will just kind of, the yellow-eyed kids over there with Vivi, so they're not all the same. Saying it as quietly as possible because I know that, she's like 10 feet away.
As this thing's getting closer, music's getting louder. There's some excitement that's almost palpable coming from the other side of the river from the crowd. And they stop before they reach the bonfire. So the procession of putting the log in front and rolling and putting the log in front and rolling stops. And Marigold puts her hand up and instantly silence. And all you can hear is the crackling of this bonfire. She puts her left hand on your shoulder, Aldrich. And she kind of leans over and she goes, just listen and it'll be okay.
Okay.
She then puts her hand down. And as she puts her hand down, a couple things happen. We see them now hoisting, using these logs that they were rolling with now as levers, right? To kind of hoist this rock up into the bonfire. Each of you are given these beautiful metal buckets. They're not made of wood. They're made of some sort of metal. They've got a nice heft to them. And to give you a sense of where you are, we've got Sten on the far left. I've got Osric. I've got then Marigold. I've got Aldrich. And then I've got Vasilla on the far right. The large vat of river water is right by you, Osric.
Wait.
So the
by me next to her.
Yeah. So I'm sorry. It's to the right of Sten. I apologize.
Okay.
Yeah. So if we were looking at it left to right, it's bucket of river water, huge vat of river water, Sten, Osric, Marigold, Aldrich, Vasilla.
Okay.
She drops her hand as the huge boulder then falls into the center of this bonfire. She says, wait. No sound. You'd swear even the birds are silent. And we see the stone, this boulder at the base, start to change color. We see it start to redden near the very bottom of the rock that's closest to the fire. And we see that heat slowly start to expand up the sides of this boulder. And almost like she can hear your thoughts, she says, wait. Now.
I go and I go fast.
Yep. Same.
So we watch as Sten runs to this and fills his bucket with water and Sten, you start to throw water onto this. And Osric, I assume you're doing the same.
Absolutely.
And Aldrich, you even can handle this with one hand if you'd like.
I think he's got a hand on like the lip of it, so he can kind of scoop and do a one-handed toss. It's not as effective as he'd like, but yeah, I think he's still got to figure it out.
And the three of you have no trouble. Vasilla, you run with your bucket to the edge of this vat and you extend your hand up and realize you're not going to be able to get the bucket.
They didn't give her a little set of like doggy stares.
like Aldrich, just hand me the bucket. You fill, hand.
Gotcha. And I think Aldrich will do that. He'll fill it up and hand it to her and grab her
Very
bucket.
nice.
Nice. Good thinking.
Yes, very good thing. So that's what we see. We see Aldrich now staying next to that, and he's grabbing buckets, filling and handing, greatly increasing the efficiency. And you see an anxiousness in Marigold's face. And Aldrich, if you catch eyes with her, she mouths to you faster.
Goes as fast as he can. Just kind of grab a bucket as soon as he can and put it down and just keep doing that.
Can I mean, I know we're not using dice rolls for this, but can I?
Is there a song of bucket brigades?
Well, can I use my Path of the Warcry talent? And
I love it.
One stress left or one
I'm not even going to make you use the willpower.
Yeah, so
So
I'm gonna be
You breaking out into song makes total sense to me.
Just like it's like a sea shanty. You get the rhythm.
and
It's
I
a
go,
rhythm.
Yep, and I start singing like a working song.
So we're watching this and trying to get, there's a sense of urgency that's in Marigold's face. And as you're going, we're starting to see some of the bonfire go out a little bit. We're not seeing the redness dissipate yet. As soon as the water hits any part of this boulder, it's immediately evaporating. And it's just steam as much as smoke is coming off this bonfire now. And, you know, the water has an effect. But I don't know how you feel about the cooling process right now. And I think that any urgency you see in Marigold's face, you're now feeling in your heart that it's beating a little bit faster. And what turns the volume up a little bit is the crowd. There seems to be an unease that's coming from across the river.
I can say Sten is going as fast as he can. What I will say, just to add a little bit of mechanical bit to that, is that I do have the fast shooter talent. So I can use ranged weapons as a fast action. So I can do 2 around.
I will consider
Throwing that out there.
So oddly, Sten takes the bucket behind his ear, then throws it, which is interesting.
You wouldn't think that would work, and yet.
And Sten, you were anxious, and then I think you felt nervous. But I don't know if you got that feeling in your stomach until you saw Meridia take Vivi and turn her around.
Oh boy.
And push Vivi's face in
dear.
her stomach. And almost as soon as Meridia does that, we hear the
Oh.
I mean, I keep going as long as there's hope.
and you all pause, but then keep going, right? And you can see at the very top of this thing, there seems to be a crack forming. Go ahead, Vasil.
Let's just make believe. Osric pulls Rustbite and chops a hole in this vat of water. Would it roll downhill onto this?
So had the had Augerville been a village of engineers, they would have bucket uphill. Unfortunately, they did not.
They did it on purpose.
I like what you're
Gotta
thinking.
be a challenge. Is there like an extra bucket? Can I do 2 buckets at a time?
I'm going to
Increase-
assume that whatever energy you have,
We have
whatever
spent-
spare
You're
you have
full out,
kept,
yeah.
you are now full out. And Marigold has
out.
been very regal during all of this, other than her little aside to Aldrich about, just listen, right? She says, everyone. And immediately the men that were hoisting this rock, that were moving all of this, they come. And you see them using their hands, putting their hands into the vat. And now everybody except Marigold on that side of the river is doing whatever they can to get water from the vat to this rock. The cracking stops.
I feel like that's against
And the efforts of all of you end up putting out the bonfire. And as we see the last of the flames flicker in the bonfire, we start to see a little bit of a different vibe coming from the other side of the river, like a, oh. And it almost makes you put your hands on your ears as the crack. And it's a huge sound that just echoes, and you're so close to it. And it's a, and there's 3 cracks that extend from the one small one that was going. And we see this boulder open. Complete silence. There's no longer a bonfire. This boulder is hollow. And I don't know how you process what you see inside. It's at least 8 feet long and easily 3 men wide. Like a sack. And the only word I can think of to describe this sack is embryotic. Because curled inside of this sack is something. And as this is processing, you see what's in the sack pierce what is a fleshy sack, and a pointed nose comes out. And you've never seen anything like this before. Snake? Lizard, maybe? Scaled? Holy shit, Vasilla. This is a fucking dragon. You've read about these.
Mm-hmm.
And the second that thought hits your brain, you hear it. Sten, immediately you look to the sky. At first, it looks like a bat. But it's way too big. And it's headed this way.
As soon as I see it, I say, everybody get clear, and like point up in its direction.
Dragon, 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 dragon.
You yell that
he can't make himself say that word.
Marigold stumbles back. Everybody in the crowd looks up, and you see the panic happening across there. The men that were throwing the water on, everybody is frozen. Nobody's following your direction, Sten, other than looking to where you pointed.
Mm-hmm.
And you just, the wings.
Get away from the egg!
Osric, what are you doing?
And I will just start shoving people with it.
Yeah, that sounds like a good
tired
idea.
arms.
Let's grab some of these water assistants and maybe start shoving them towards the bridge and towards the other side.
Aldrich?
Oh man. I think Aldrich hears Vasilla say dragon, and he just kind of locks up a little bit. Like he's just kind of in awe at the moment. Just standing dumbfounded, like looking at the fur boulder, now an egg apparently, and the dragon, and just like,
I will also grab Aldrich and yoink him away if I need to.
Vasilla.
I'm going to get up under Aldrich's arm and like help him with the wounded leg, his busted ankle, which isn't like going to murder him anymore, but is
still
presumably
hurts.
hard. Yeah. And I will help, and then I'll be like, and while I'm doing that, I'm gonna be telling Stan every dragon fact I can think of that might be helpful.
Dragon facts.
Look for the hollow of the left breast.
Yeah. Like this in the third verse of blah 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 that says the dragons do this.
I don't care.
So it feels like 5 minutes, Sten, before people start to react to what you said, but it wasn't 5 minutes. It was half a second, right? But time froze. Everybody stopped. And once they realized what you said out loud was real, then people started to leave. They start to head towards the bridge. There is mass confusion happening on the other side of the river. You see some people trying to run away. There's a lot of chaos happening. There's people bumping into each other. You see people falling. There is pure and unadulterated panic happening on the other side of this bridge. Sten, if you've tried to track Meridia and the kids, you don't see them.
Probably not. I assume that she is competent to take care of her family.
You guys are working your way to the bridge. The sound of these wings, it's, when people get out of a helicopter and instinctively, even though the blades will never hit their head, they bring their head down. You feel the need to bring your head down, even though these wings are not near you yet. That's the sound that they're making, and you're starting to feel the breeze change. You're starting to feel the wind come. You hear the newborn yell out a screech as its claws come and break open this embryonic sac. You get to the bridge.
What's Marigal doing at this point?
Marigal has retreated. And if any of you have looked to her face, this is the most unstoic face she's ever had in all the time that you've seen her. She
expect that, did you?
Yeah, if you thought for a second she knew what was about to happen, nobody told her. And you can tell as she's retreating towards the keep, but not as she's running towards the keep. From where she is, getting towards the keep gets her farther from the egg.
Okay. I don't know if that makes me feel better or worse. But
Ostrich, as you're kind of getting the lay of the land, as you're pushing people to the bridge, there's a couple things that you take in very quickly, Ostrich. You see Marigal in shock moving away from the egg. You see people doing the best they can to get everybody to the bridge, to get them across the bridge, right? Now's the time that the dragon should be diving. Now's the time that the dragon should be going for its baby. But it flies over it. And a deep sound, a rumble that makes your bones shake, comes from this beast as you see fire unleashed on the crowd. As it opens its mouth and fire comes and just spreads and fills the crowd in the town square. And it flies past. And you can see a new bonfire in the town square, but there's no kindling there. There's no wood there. The only thing there are Astlings and villagers. I'm going to pause for a second and put you on top of the bridge as you see this happen. As you see the dragon begin to list and start to turn back.
To whatever, if I see anyone like a horseman or a hunter, any of the folks nearby in the crowd that have a bow, I just say, "Give me a bow," and just
You're handed
reach
a bow.
my hand out. Okay, I start going that way
Towards the other side of the river,
towards the square.
and it is.
I'm swimming upstream. I know.
Yeah, there's people spreading. Nobody's coming to the side of where the egg is, right? So everybody's is retreating to the camps and towards the back. But there's many people that were hit by that first strike that are not going anywhere. And the heat coming from the town square is 10 times any of the heat that you felt from this bonfire. Ostric, Vasilla, Aldrich.
And so if I were we're headed towards the bridge, and he's now
at
on
the top of the bridge, right?
meaning like in the middle.
Peak.
Correct.
Okay. And the dragon is essentially in the direction we were going and returning.
It came from the keep side, strafed the crowd. It's now flown over Augerville. Easily has gone another like 3 miles past Augerville as it begins to turn back around. Vasilla, Ostric, Aldrich, we've got Sten grabbing a bow. I assume arrows as well, Sten.
I think that there's nothing in my lore knowledge that would be helpful at this particular time about dragons.
You know what? Let's do a lore roll.
One of those dragon facts has to be true.
Our first die roll of the evening.
It is. I love a session with minimal die rolls. Yeah, 1 success, 1 bane. You have push this if you'd like.
Yeah, I think this is a pushable.
Whoa. What are you?
Sorry, I was just checking what that did. I didn't mean to pop it up in the...
You're getting ahead of me, Brian.
Oh, whatever happens to me is going to be much worse.
Yeah, I'm gonna push.
Okay. This our lovely slow roll. Okay, so you lost 1 in wits. It looks like you did not pick up another success. With 1 success, Vasilla. This is all legend. These are all tales and songs. The only thing that sweeps over your mind is you are just systematically in your brain going through. This song mentioned the dragon. This one hinted at, right, as you go through it is, we're all going to fucking die. So seeing Sten grab a bow with an arrow is an ant raging at the foot before it stamps on the hill, right? That's what overwhelms you. Is if any of these fools that I've been traveling with think they're going to fight this thing, that's what you pick up.
I'm gonna get Aldrich, like, we can get him to hit the castle. We can get him to kill the freaking demon lady. Dragon versus demon. We got to get the egg to the castle. Let's go.
Sure. Let's do it.
So I'm gonna turn around and go back to the egg.
Yeah, Aldrich's gonna follow. I like this plan. Aldrich had a different plan, but when Vasilla brought this up, he follows. We're gonna drag that child to the castle. I am on this plan. Let's go.
What are Sten and
What
I
are you
doing?
What are you idiots doing? I'm buying you time.
Oh,
and we're buying the town time.
All right. Yeah, towards the baby dragon, which we think, at least to this point, it didn't. The larger dragon did not seem to want to protect that dragon so much as get rid of all of us.
A dragon's got priorities, Jim.
Yeah. Okay. And the baby dragon is not small, right? It's significant.
The baby dragon is at least 8 foot long. And as you guys are running, as Nate and Dave, and we lost Dave, as Nate and Dave are running towards the egg, we see this thing breaking its way out of its embryonic sac, right? And it's 8 foot, bundled, and curled up like a baby, right? But as it starts to break out, you realize that, maybe from head to hind legs, it's 10 foot, but head to tail, it's longer than that. But I will say the fire is out. The rock is broken. And it's obvious this thing, at least for now, is vulnerable and on its back. So it does not seem to be able to coordinate itself yet. Right. So it's not like a giraffe that comes out and starts running. It's obvious like this thing is just stretching its arms and screaming. Its eyes are still closed. The mucus of the embryonic sac is all over this thing. As we see Aldrich and
a one-armed mage and a halfling. We're not going to move this thing.
Running towards.
Come on, warrior.
Is there someplace high or a little higher that Stan could get onto, even if it's just like the broken pieces of the stone egg or the wherever Marigold was, just someplace a little bit higher than ground level?
Yeah, probably if you're not going to go to the keep, Sten, probably your best bet is the altar, the wood altar that was built.
Yeah, I'm by the egg, because, well, let me know when the big dragon starts getting closer. I'm going to get up onto that high ground.
All right, so you go to the altar. Aldrich and Vasilla are running towards this baby. What is Ostrich doing?
I think he's going to run towards it too, because clearly there's no way they can move it without his help, let alone with. And I'll see if there's. It took multiple people to move this. Like this is a big giant dragon.
We used to be in a rock full of sack. It's less much as a dragon.
Yeah, it's probably like half the weight.
Yeah.
Sten, you make it to because you were closer than everybody. You make it to the altar. You get up onto the altar.
Okay. Sten is drawing an arrow back and he's pointing it down at the newborn dragon and looking for this thing to be coming back.
Okay. Well, Ostrich figures out what he's doing. Vasilla and Aldrich, you reach the baby.
All right. Do we have rope? Anywhere rope?
As we've been running, Aldrich kind of like pulled the robe off as best he could, like kind of stumbling out, and he wants to try to like basically wrap it around its neck to give it like wrap it around like Vasilla, help, and basically use the robe as a rope essentially.
And the neck is folded still, right? So this thing's head is still at its chest, but its neck extends out and kind of folds from its body to where it is. So if you have no trouble, and the fluid as you kind of push your hand in the crease of this thing, as you pull your robe around and you pull your robe onto this thing, and this baby, its eyes are closed. It has no awareness of what's happening around it, so it doesn't see anything. You can tell that it has no idea what's happening. We hear as we see the dragon headed closer. Ostrich.
Vasilla, do dragons know words? Do they talk?
GM, do I know if dragons know words and talk?
There's tales that they talk, and there's tales that they are fierce, like rabid primal beasts. So it depends on which songs you listen to. Some say they like riddles. Some say that you look really good for lunch.
Sometimes you roll 7, sometimes you roll 11, but you got to roll the dice.
Was that a riddle? Is that what that was? So I think Osric's gonna run up to this dragon from the opposite side. So Aldrich's sort of pulling, and he's gonna lower his shoulder and try to push. And I think we're attempting to move towards the keep. Is our let's call it a plan?
Towards the crowd? Yeah, this will be great.
No, away from the crowd.
No,
towards
away
the
from the
keep.
crowd. They went to Augerville.
Yeah, we're going towards the keep. They're on the other side of the river. We're on the.
All right, so I've got Aldrich pulling,
Dragging as best
Osric
he can.
pushing, Vasilla's
Hands.
Helping.
I'm being an extra hand.
all right.
I'm just keeping.
Vasilla's my second arm.
I've got a number of successes in my head.
I bet it's high.
Okay.
So
Probably a lot.
you bring up your character sheets real quick. What skill makes the most sense here?
Can I, and if I have to spend a willpower for human versatile, I will. Based on the fact that like we have a kind of a mechanical system, and I tried to set up a rope as best I could in a knot. Can I do crafting?
Oh yeah, you can definitely use crafting. Yeah, spend it.
Excellent.
I
Do,
think really
do I get a
unfortunately
bonus?
for-
2 bonus die for 2 helpers?
No. That's not how we're gonna handle this. I'm going
Okay, so it's
completely
just
off
one
book here.
whole,
I think the
Yeah.
number is higher than that.
one whole gang. Gotcha.
So well, first I want to know, can someone look at their character sheet and
I think that the skill should be might.
I agree.
with
All
that
right, so
assessment.
I want the 3 of you to each do a might roll. Let's do it in order, starting with Vasilla.
Okay, I gotcha.
Oh yeah.
If only halflings were versatile in
Versatile.
some way.
Oof.
That sounds about right.
Aldrich.
I'm
Right.
Oh, you
not
can
going to
push.
No, I don't want to pass out.
Okay.
But I can spend a willpower to make this crafting, right? Instead of
Correct.
might. Okay.
And this is how you're going to lever and use
the
use
rope I
this
made.
robe as best as you can.
Oh,
Ugh.
I'm going
Have
for
a
it. I don't care.
success. Oh, you're pushing.
Yep.
oh God.
Come on, dice.
Still one success. Ostrich.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. How high is that number?
The
More
number
than
is
one.
Probably higher than one.
It's one
I'm
less.
guessing.
All right. Well, here goes everything.
You're a mighty boy. Come on. Carry the team.
1. That'll do it, right? We'll just have to keep pushing that. Perfect.
Okay.
Dice.
You see Aldrich wrapping his robe around and really doing a hell of a job of kind of realizing, okay, the fluid's here, the way the bonfire is here, like this is my best, this is the closest thing to a ramp I'm gonna find if we go this direction. And Osric and Vasilla are kind of following Aldrich's lead a little bit. I'm almost imagining Aldrich you shouting out, no, this way, right?
Yeah.
And we see Vasilla pushing, having no effect. Not a big surprise.
Like
You see-
slipping off.
Aldrich one-handedly trying to pull. And then we see Osric coming from the bridge like a linebacker into the side of this baby. And we hear it go "Gah!" as he lunges his shoulder into this thing. Nothing moves.
Did the larger dragon happen to notice? And
I think we're getting the answer right now.
As soon as it gets to what Sten thinks might be its earshot, and I have literally no idea. So he's probably just going to keep yelling it over and over. Mm-hmm.
So when you say earshot, you want it to hear
I
you.
want it to be able to hear. And Sten is yelling his throat out at this
All right.
point.
So to clarify a few things here real
Mhm.
quick, your arrows have more range than your voice. So I
Mhm.
want to clarify that. That may not
I'm-
change anything you do, but I want to
Yep,
make that
I got
clear.
it. I got it.
And that's assuming that the arrow is going to go up and not down.
I am neither shooting nor aiming at the big
Okay.
dragon.
All right. So we want when audible is
When I think it might be able to hear me.
Okay.
And if not, my gesture hopefully makes it clear. And
So-
I'm basically saying, you want this thing alive? You get the hell out of here. If I die, it dies.
so in true 5e fashion, you have readied your action.
Pretty much.
Nate, what are you doing as this thing approaches? Just pulling, pushing, because you don't know it's not working right immediately. This is all happening in split seconds. What do you?
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to do though?
Not really. I think Aldrich's dedicated to that pull and just kind of looking over his shoulder, like keeping an eye on the dragon.
And Vasily, you're pushing on this thing, and Aldrich, like a bull, comes in and just and it doesn't move anything. Is there anything you want to do in this half second?
No. I feel like I'm like
Ostrich,
talk to
you
the
are
dragon?
pressed into the flesh of this thing, and this fluid, this like alien saliva is just like is covering you as you press into this thing. Is there anything you want to do this half second?
I would like to remove this robe so that I have the freedom to defend myself in case it comes to that.
Okay. Sten, you're prepping to yell at this thing when you feel like it might have a chance to hear you.
Yep. Y'all might want to run.
Unfortunately, its second strafe is going to happen long before that.
Yeah.
And we see it do the exact same thing, but it starts the strafe early at the back of Augerville. And you see as it strafes the entire village, setting it aflame. It's in with earshot, and it hears your warning, we assume. No way to know if this in any way changed its actions. But it stops its breath before the breath reaches the second half of your side of the river. And the wind of this thing's wings is overwhelming. If you're going to shoot this thing, I need it to happen now, but I don't know if you plan on shooting an arrow at this thing or not. But now is the time if you're going to do it.
So it looks like it's pulling up short.
So it looks like it's coming at the keep. You don't get the feeling it has more than enough time to pull up, so it's not going to run into the keep. But you also are not seeing things like a bird extending its arms to grab the baby or anything like that.
Right.
This is a strafing run. You can tell that.
All right, so it's still coming right at us then.
Correct.
Okay, then I'm going to shoot the baby dragon.
Let's shoot the baby dragon.
And I will yell, down to these guys as I do with what's left of my voice. Get out of here and find out who picked this rock. So I'm going to assume
I want you to add one to your skill because it's basically point blank.
Okay. Right. Combat, longbow, sharpshooter, plus another one for that. None of those other things apply. Let's see what happens.
That's the arrow die. I was like,
Yeah,
oh, an
it is the
artifact.
arrow
No, it's
die.
the arrow die. Every time. Gets me every time.
All right.
All right, give me just 1 second. I am going to do its armor roll.
Okay. Oh, actually, I do have the which talent is it? I'm going to spend a willpower to ignore armor. Path of the Arrow.
Fair.
Makes sense. Big scaly beast.
I mean, it's relevant. Also, I'm going to push this roll because there is no reason not to at this point.
I understand that. Yep.
2 Banes.
I can think of 2.
And once again, pushes are how they are in this game tonight.
Man, we have just rolled like poop tonight.
Yup.
So you fell the arrow, and it launches from the bow, Sten. And I'll tell you, it's not missing, right? We knew that from the beginning, right? I wanted to get a sense of damage, but it hits, it penetrates whatever little sac is there and liquid is there, but it is you feel so inadequate.
It's
you
too big.
You feel like you've taken a small little twig and thrown it at a boar. And it just the arrow hits and it just kind of just feebly just bounces off the scales. of this baby. The fire stops before it reaches you. This thing pulls up and almost knocks you off your feet as it pulls up and goes up. And Sten, as you are following this thing, as you left the arrow, this thing did not even acknowledge the fact that you shot the baby. As you watch this thing pull up and head straight up to avoid the keep, at the top of the keep, if you remember the bridge, the railless bridge that connected the towers, you see a man in a metal mask and a naked woman.
It's not getting any better.
I'm just going to ask a question for my spatial information here. How far away would you say they are?
They are out of bow range.
Okay, that is enough information for me at this point.
I was guessing that's what you were asking.
That seems like a reasonable question.
For my information purposes, are they standing there? Are they running? Are they gesturing? Are they just like
they're standing there
watching?
And this dragon has now gone straight up, right? So it stopped breathing fire, so it didn't breathe fire on your side of the river, pulled up like an airplane right before it hit the keep, and it has gone straight up. So if you're looking up right now, you can see this thing launching into the air as it heads up.
So you know how we had that nest on the top of the tower?
Yes.
Doing real quick mental like, will that fit? Will that fit?
This thing is much larger than that nest.
Cool. All right. I'm going to run screaming at the keep like, Master, help us. The baby that you tried to raise, its mom's here. Blah. Something repeating like that.
I know what Vasila's doing.
What does one do when faced with a dragon who's...
I think there's only one thing to do.
Yeah.
We're going to go to credits. We'll be back.
Oh!
See you on the other side. Because I didn't know what would happen before the ceremony, I didn't know if we would get here. But we got here. And I'm going to just preface a few things, then we're going to talk to each of you. The first thing I'm going to preface is I think all four of you had a bad feeling about the ceremony.
I mean, naturally.
But Nate, like, not a surprise. It was a surprise. When did you realize? Like, I want to get a sense as a player, if you can walk me through the last 45 minutes.
As far as like when I thought things were going to go wrong.
I don't know. Tell me. I want to know the player experience and what just happened.
I think there was just that subtle quiet of. There was definitely the moment. The first flag is, of course, the rock is rounder than any of the other rocks you've seen. Like that's a weird detail, Mr. Craig, man, sir. What's that about? But we'll keep watching. This is weird. I'm into it. And yeah, I mean, I would have never guessed dragon. I mean, we're not in the D&D game. This is, you know, the other game. I don't know if I was ready for dragon.
And to be clear, and I know some of you watching know this, I'm on book right now.
Oh God.
Now I'm on book as far as what happens during the ceremony. I'm not on book about what led to this, right? So like why this thing is here, why this thing cried like that, that's way off book. And I think people that have read this stuff know that I've been off book for a while on this. But
the book cannot contain you, Craig.
Yeah, but this being a dragon inside of the stone, that's on book.
Wow. I mean, there was always going to be something, but
yeah, but not, you didn't think this.
They were going to live happily ever after. It was going to be a beautiful sub story.
Well, if nothing else,
I'm not even sure they're alive.
We have learned
They
that
lived
the
happily ever
traditions
after.
are correct. When the stone breaks, it is bad luck for the town.
You're not very correct.
For you, Brian, as one of the more seasoned GMs in the cast, was this too much of a gotcha?
No, this was great. It was just the right amount of, we knew it was going to be something big, but until you said the stone is hollow, I didn't know that was what was coming. And I think it's like, we knew it was going to be something big and dramatic and important to the plot, but this was like an order of magnitude above where we would have been or where we have been. I mean, I will say that I think I am not out of hand in saying that there was no way we could be expected to fight the thing. So I kind of feel bad that I got everybody dragged into it. Not that we're even technically fighting it yet. But
there's been no initiative rolled.
Right, exactly. Yeah, but I mean, Sten's whole objective was to buy people time to get out of the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's hats off. That was a great session and a great twist, and I really enjoyed it.
Oh, that makes me happy. It's tough, right? Like there's no if this goes well. I love the plan. It was 4 successes, just so you know. I had a number in my head that would allow you to drag that dragon there. I thought between the 3 of you, especially with Osric, that it was possible, but not likely, which is where I wanted it to be. I never would have thought that you guys would do that, and I loved it. And it's why, literally, when you guys said, we're taking the dragon to the keep, was why I play role-playing games. That moment,
if somebody could get a clip of Craig's face from that, it is brilliant.
Yeah, we don't shout Craig that often.
That is why I play these games, is because you know, the 5 of us are here, and I might be putting the canvas down and doing some very, very large strokes, but it's the 4 of you that make the details, right? The 4 of you that do it. And one of the things that I just want to quickly talk about is a good friend of mine, Anthony Boyd, who most people know is Runeslinger on YouTube. He's been a friend of mine since he came out of the show, and has been a big part of my development as a GM. And quick plug, Saturday night is the next one-on-one of Call of Cthulhu. But when we finish this Call of Cthulhu between me and Nick, which is really, really good, by the way, Anthony's going to release the conversations he and I have been having between sessions. And I think if you are a GM or even a player, I think you're going to really enjoy these segments, because think about how rare this is. And Brian, it's why I lean on you a lot. How rare is it that you can have a GM that is not part of the game watch the game and between sessions brainstorm with another GM who's running the game as they talk about theory? Like, we get into some high topics, right? Some very like high level, not nitty gritty details. But we get into some details too. So, my freedom that I'm getting more comfortable as a kid of the 80s and the 90s running games. I'm getting more comfortable with saying, I don't know what the hell's going to happen. And I'm getting far more comfortable as a GM saying, yes, and let's do this together. Let me paint the broad strokes for you so you know where everybody is. And today was a perfect example of that. Like, I had no idea what would happen. I thought it was just as easy that all of you would be like, peace.
That certainly would have been the smart thing to do.
Yeah, I love you. I love you. Fuck you. I love you. Bye.
You're cool. I'm out.
Yeah. But I love that that's not the decision you made. Dave, you have a lot of experience, both as a GM and as a player. Walk me through this session.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. I really enjoy. I think it's interesting because it's a weird session for me, because like I really enjoy the little character details that I think that we got a chance to bring out. I think they're like that's the funnest bits to me. My emotional brain is like, God damn it, I hate being set up. Partly.
And I set you up.
Yeah, and like I mean, like, and it builds up drama, and like there's value to it, right? But like part of me is just like, God damn, there's no
Fuck
win.
you, Craig.
But it's just like it just sucks some days that like it feels like there's no win, right? Because just Forbidden Lands is apparently horrible.
Yeah, but here's the only thing I'm going to interrupt you just real quick, Dave. I don't think it has to be Forbidden Lands that does this. Like,
yeah, you could do it with any.
I am in the Spencer Campbell camp of fuck balance.
Yeah.
So keep going.
No, like you could choose to run a game like this in any place, right? Like that's
correct.
It's not just Forbidden Lands. It's not the system that is making.
And Dave would still hate you for it.
Well, it's I've been trained on heroic.
Yes.
Right. I've been trained on heroic, right? So
good
like
guys win.
Yeah, and maybe we still will. Well, you know, like I mean,
we just have to redefine.
Like, well, there was just no win. There's nothing we can do here, right? Like it's not, which is reasonable in the world. It just isn't my training, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
My logic brain is like, the PCs never want to run. Stan is trying so hard for the martyr's death, and everyone's like, hard pass, not doing that.
Eventually, Sten will learn that, but it is not this day.
Right? It's like we're just not. That's not. There's no like. Well, can I do things? I'll use my talents. I'll use my skills. What else can I do? And you're like, literally nothing. We should just run away. It's just. It's just funny to me. It's like it's a balance from a player's perspective that like the twist was cool, right? Like there's a fucking dragon in there, and like the way you set it up, and like, and I trust Marigold. Like I had to trust like the narrative of Marigold to be like, well, this is going to be like fine. This is going to be like a resolution to some piece of this favorably, and Demon Mask and Demon Lady will still be bad, but like it'll be, you know, tit for tat. And just so it's very a session of like the good gold that I like the character building elements, which I really enjoy. Yeah. And then I had like a mix of like, oh shit, and and a mix of like, well, that's actually kind of cool because now like the stakes are built, right? But like it's that part of the book, a long way to get to, is that part of the book that you're like, I hope this payoff is fucking worth it. You know what I mean? Like you're part of like that part of the book where you're like, well, okay, bad things happen to the good guy all again. I hope this last chapter through like 10 chapters are good because
You keep saying good guy, and I'm not convinced that we're actually the good guys either.
I
better than
disagree.
the demons.
You're going to be more, and I love that.
I
So,
think-
like,
I
you're.
think
I
Twitch
know you
just
were.
died.
Oh, did it really?
Mine's still up. It's been flaky all night for me though. I think it's on the Twitch end.
Hi,
I
Twitch.
saw it blink.
Oh no! Now people are saying, "All right, yeah." Now
Yeah,
it is.
I think Twitch died.
Sorry. You had to hear
Not
me
to
rant.
ruin the flow.
Sorry. So sorry. Oh,